Welcome to Plot Twist, the show where we unpack the unexpected turns that shape our careers, relationships, and ourselves. I'm your host, Tiana, leader, speaker, and corporate mom. And I'm sitting down with guests that prove that growth begins often at the twist of a story. Let's dive in. Today's guest is a woman whose purpose is bigger than borders, bigger than circumstance, and bigger than any single program. We have with us Madam Victoria Victor. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you so much, Tiana. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today.
Absolutely. And I got to brag on you a little bit more. Madam Victoria Victor is founder and lead coach of the Victoria Empowerment Foundation. She is the visionary behind VEF Tech Rise, and we're going to talk about that program later on, and Africa Project 2026. Victoria is leading a movement to transform the future of young women across Africa through digital access, training, and economic empowerment. Now, we all know too well that talent is everywhere, but opportunity, equipment, and access are not. That's the gap that her program is stepping in to close. We're going to talk about her journey, the mission behind her organization, and the challenges that she's trying to solve, and how you, our listeners, have the power to help change the trajectory of hundreds of young women. Now, Victoria, we initially met on a panel discussion about AI and Agile. You were the moderator, and you brought so much energy to the panel that I had to attend the other events that you do for your foundation. And it is the same. Like, you just do so much. How do you keep the energy? How do you do so much?
Uh, The thing is, I think, how do I keep the energy, the vision? When I think of the things I have to do for the people around me and the entire Africa in general, I don't have any other choice than to be enthusiastic and zealous. So it is the zeal that brings out the energy in me that if I don't start, who will?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, Africa is a huge continent to try to tackle. Tell us about the journey that led you to founding the Victoria Empowerment Foundation. Where are you centrally focused? Tell us about it.
Thank you so much for that question. I'm going to start from the beginning. My journey started from lived experiences, mine and the people around me. Growing up in a privileged home, it was easy to be whatever you wanted. Your parents are there, you want to go here, they sponsor you. But they were taken out before time, they passed on before I even became a woman. The passing of both parents, I grew up seeing brilliant women and youths who had big dreams, but no pathways, no support. I watched talents suffocate under the weight of wrong environments, limited information, and lack of support. My life has always been shaped by this one truth. Potentials means nothing without access. So founding the Victorian Empowerment Foundation was my response to that gap. I didn't want to complain. I didn't want to give up. I didn't want my society to define me. I wanted to build a system that opened doors for those who were never allowed near the hallway. I wanted to be that platform that they can ride on to get to be who they are. Now that is what prompted my starting the foundation.
That is amazing because there are unfortunately hundreds of people in the world who also lose their parents at a young age, and they don't have the tenacity and the vision to say, how can I help myself, but also help others, empower my community? So that really speaks to the generosity that you have, Victoria, and why your energy is so infectious, because it's genuine and it's coming from your heart, a loving place. When I think about your organization and what you do, I feel like that work sits like at the intersection of empowerment and technology and economic mobility. What led you to bring those pieces together as the catalyst for how you support the community?
I know that without a platform, there is nothing anybody can do. There is nothing. No matter how great you are, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how talented you are, without a platform, you can't be heard. You can't be seen. end. No matter how talented you are, without empowerment, you're not going nowhere. We have a lot of talented young people roaming our streets. We have a lot of gifted people roaming our streets. But why are they not known? Why are they not heard? Because there is nobody to empower them, because there is no platform that has been given to them to rise. Because true empowerment must produce economic power. And economic power today, we all know, is driven by technology. You can motivate people up and down, over and again all day. But if they have no skills to earn, their hope collapses under pressure. No matter how talented a person is, if that talent is not honed to meet the needs of people today, it is useless. But if they have a skill and their hope does not collapse under pressure, trust me, you would have empowered another generation. Now, even after tech skills acquisition, you still need to mentor them till they get on their feet and they can replicate what you did for them to others. So, with tech being the new currency, the new literacy, and the new access point to the world, bringing empowerment, tech, and economic mobility together wasn't just a strategy. No, it wasn't just another strategy. It was a necessity, particularly in this part of the globe called Africa. I hope I've been able to answer that properly.
Absolutely. And you answered a couple of other questions I was thinking of too, because the platform is important for them to be able to have that visibility. And then once you get that platform, what do you do with it? Getting those skills. And I think, especially here in the United States, we don't understand the crisis as much. You just kind of
No.
just know that it exists. So, what's something that people here in the US or abroad misunderstand about Africa's talent pipeline?
Okay. Now, I'm going to share a very short story. I grew up. It's not my story, but I want to give you an analogy. I grew up in an environment that I have to work. My parents have to work around the clock for us to even have food on our table. And somehow I got in contact with tech. But I just know that this phone is for messaging and receiving calls. That's all I know. And I see people dancing on the social media naked. And I'm like, "Oh," and they say people are making money. But in the village, because I'm a village person, I do not understand this. So how I, the villager, understand what has never passed on? And because you are in the city, in a different climate. So you have access to all the information tools you can lay your hands on. And so you can play around with the same phone and you can earn using that. But I have not been exposed to that. All I know is, okay, we just watch. If you have data and there's light, because sometimes there's even no light, I just go
Mhm.
in lava and then I drop it and I use it to message my auntie in the city. That is all I know. So if you have not lived a life, it will be difficult for you to understand what the other person is going through. You can only guess, but you will never understand the magnitude of ignorance that exists in local villages in Africa. The same tool, the same instrument, but different knowledge of usage.
That's really impactful because I hadn't thought about it from that context of something as simple as a phone. We use it and it's a source of entertainment, and not realizing that for some countries and some communities, it's a lifeline. And so we so quickly take that for granted, or we make preconceived thoughts. Well, why don't they just do that because we do it? It's so easy for us. But it's bigger than that. It's making a lot of assumptions and generalities on our parts that we shouldn't do. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take a step back to a question that I was gonna ask, but I thought you answered, but now I wanna go back and ask it. What are the
Okay.
consequences when women don't have access to these digital skills or tools?
The first thing is you have cut down the GDP of that economy. That's number one.
Hmm.
Number two, you have limited knowledge sharing base with a society or a household or a generation that would have benefited from that knowledge. And we know that like the balance goes, when you educate one woman, you've been educated, enlightened the entire generation. So when you also deny one woman of access to these digital tools, you have denied the entire society of a brilliant economic empowerment that that one woman would have brought to that society. So when you empower a woman, you do not only empower just one woman, you empower the entire society because one woman makes up the entire society.
And I'm going to throw a note in here for the listeners in the United States. As part of our Black history, we think about slavery and slave trade, and that knowledge sharing was so important for our survival. If we didn't learn how to read, if we didn't learn how to communicate, there were a lot of consequences that were detrimental to our livelihood. The Underground Railroad, founded by Harriet Tubman, was possible because this woman learned how to communicate and learned how to network and saved a lot of people from slavery. And I want to point that out for our listeners in the United States to translate. We're replicating the same historical issue if we don't continue to make sure that we have the knowledge shared with other countries, for other women, for generations to come. So, thank you, Victoria, for that beautiful example. I want to skip ahead and talk about your program, VEF Tech Rise. Tell
Yeah.
us, what is it? Who is it for? How does it work?
Oh my God, you're coming into my heart and my passion. All right. Okay. Now, VevTech Rise is my baby project. It's a project after my heart. This is a digital empowerment project created for both women and youth across Africa who want to rise above these limitations and caps that have been placed on them and build sustainable digital careers. It is for the girl who has talent but no tool. It is for the young man who is hungry for a direction on how to channel that passion into monetization. It is for the mother seeking economic stability in her home because she cannot afford to watch her children suffer because it is just the father that is able to bring a little pittance back home. And for the youth who wants to build a future that is beyond survival, who wants to rewrite a story that poverty has no name in. So we will provide structured training, mentorship, devices, supports, empowerment, self-learning spaces, pathways to employment and digital entrepreneurship. We are going to not only enlighten them, we are going to show them that, look, with that tool in your hand, you can become the next Elon Musk. You can become whoever you want to be that will bring positive development to your community. So it is not just a tech school, it is an economic gateway. It is a way to rechannel their energy because the youth have so much energy in them to rechannel and refocus that energy into something positive and meaningful for the society. That is why we are doing it.
And I know this wonderful program is expected to start February of 2026
Yes.
because you've had the foundation. This program's new. So what are some success stories that you already have seen?
We started the foundation October 1. That was when we launched it, and we started the academy, the tech academy, 2 weeks after. That should be about October 14 or 16 or thereabout. Single-handedly, I've been able to bootstrap. We've trained over 1,350 women and young boys in tech. I have had to fund 40 plus staff to make sure that this vision stays. That is how passionate I am about it. And that's why I say, when I put my mind on something, when I put my tentacles into anything I want to do, I don't get discouraged. I push through. Even if I have to deny myself the comfort of enjoying the money I am making, I will use it to pour my support staff to make sure this vision continues. So we have several testimonies on our social media pages of people that have graduated from the Tech Academy. We have a lot of them now that are working remotely with some Americans, the other ones from some women in UK. We have a lot of success stories that is out there in the public from their lips. We have a lot of recommendations and latest or post content written about Victorian Entrepreneurial Academy. That is a tech academy. And in the leadership area, we've trained about 40 plus women in the leadership sector. So that's what passion can do. I've done this for the past 1 year without any sponsorship or assistance from anybody.
I love that. And I'm going to make sure I put a link to the Facebook page in the show notes so our listeners can go and see all of those success stories real time. For individuals that are thinking about giving back or sponsoring, what does one laptop or van translate to in terms of impact?
One laptop is equal to one life elevated. One van is equal to consistent training access for up to 100 students weekly or more. These are not items. They're not just mere items. They are the engines of transformation to the lives of many African women and youth.
For companies or individuals that are wanting to sponsor, what are the different ways that they can meaningfully contribute?
Okay, thank you. They can sponsor the devices, laptops, phones, that good phones that we're going to use, fund training hubs, because we're going to leave everywhere we go. We're going to leave a yardstick, a milestone. There are going to be training hubs to replicate because it's not a one-off thing. It's a generational thing. This set will graduate, the next set will come and graduate. So it's a continuous affair. It's going to support transportation, provide monthly student sponsorship, donate equipment, offer grant, partner as skills mentors. Because every partnership plant a seed that grows into generational change. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
Absolutely. Who wouldn't? And let's talk about that vision and expected outcomes. If this program receives the support that it needs, what outcome do you hope to see in the first 12 months?
First 12 months, you're going to see over 5,000 women and youths plus trained and then plus over 1,000 in digital jobs. Then the rest will be empowered to launch tech-enabled businesses. So we want to create a generation of digital earners who can feed their families and build wealth with their skills and thereby go to change that nation's GDP.
Yes, and that's perfect because I actually wanted to go back to that comment that you brought up earlier about Africa's GDP. For our listeners, how does it directly influence the GDP and long-term economic growth in Africa?
Okay, we all know that tech is a high income earning area right now. It's a new oil
Mhm.
and women reinvest up to 90% of their earnings into their families, either directly or indirectly through black tax. When you empower youth and women in tech, household incomes will rise, innovation will rise, and GDP rise will follow. It is an economic strategic way of making Africa great again.
What does success look like in 2026, 2030?
Okay, in 2026, fully equipped academy running sustainably with hundreds of graduates in different zones across Africa. In 2030, continent-wide network of digital earners, founders, creators, tech-driven families rising out of generational poverty. Poverty that will never, you remember when I said before, a poverty that will never be heard in that family again, just because one person's life was transformed.
It's something about making a change in one generation that changes the trajectory of the future and lineage of a household. And so I love that. I love what this could do. So, how can people get in contact with you if they want to sponsor or donate?
Okay, they can reach me through this email, DVEV, DEVEF, DVEV dot 20 global at gmail.com. Then on my WhatsApp, that's my phone, they can reach me via +234 80231 or or I can send you our official website because currently we've been upgrading. So I'll send the link so that they can go through the things we have done and see that we've been functioning. We've not been sitting down. We already have a sponsorship deck ready for our partners.
Where can listeners follow the progress of Africa Project 2026?
We are very, very alive on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We are very alive on those two platforms. TikTok, we are just coming in. We are not really alive then. YouTube, the same thing. But from this project, from this session henceforth to the project, we're going to showcase everything we are doing transparently for every person to see. Because one thing is, in anything you got to do, you've got to be trustworthy. And that is what we stand for. Authenticity. Everything is going to be publicly displayed so that sponsors will see and say, oh, I think I can work with these people. We are on Instagram too. I'll send you all the links.
That's perfect. Um, Someone could take away one message from this episode. What would you want it to be?
Okay. Lord, help me answer this accurately. One woman, empowering one woman or youth in tech doesn't change one life. It changes generations. And every supporter becomes part of that legacy. Every partner becomes a part of that impact. So let's join hands. Together, we can do a better job. Together, we rise. Africa will be great again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. To my listeners, if you want to get in contact with Victoria, I will have her contact information in the show notes as well. Victoria, thank you so much for your impact on the world that you are delivering one woman, one person, one child at a time. You are truly a blessing.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into Plot Twist. If this story made you pause, reflect, or smile, please share it with someone who's in the middle of their own plot twist. You can catch more episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and connect with me on my socials. Until next time, keep writing your own story.